Before I start the story, comment where you're listening from. I'm curious. Here is a quick preview for the story. Hazel thought she had landed her dream modeling contract until she woke up in a locked room with cameras in every corner and a live audience watching her every move. The AI host demands entertainment, and the challenges start small but quickly spiral into something far more sinister. If she fails, the timer resets, trapping her in an endless nightmare where survival is the only way out. If you enjoy the story, please like the video and subscribe to my channel Nightmare Archives. Hazel Miller watched Los Angeles shrink beneath the airplane window, a sprawling grid of lights, like a circuit board powering her dreams. The email from Elite's Spotlight modeling agency still sat open on her phone, its professional letterhead and promises of fame feeling surreal even after reading it dozens of times. We've been following your social media presence and believe you have exactly what we're looking for. A unique opportunity awaits. At 26, with 15,000 followers and a stagnant administrative job in Portland, the offer had been impossible to refuse. Sure, the contract had been dense, full of clauses about complete image rights and continuous content creation obligations. But that was industry standard, wasn't it? The signing bonus alone covered 3 months of LA rent. Her friends had been skeptical. How did they even find you? Her roommate had asked. But Hazel knew this was how it happened nowadays. One viral post, the right hashtag, and suddenly doors opened. This was her chance. Welcome to your new life, she whispered to herself as the plane touched down. The sleek black car that picked her up from the airport had tinted windows and a silent driver. It wasn't the glamorous welcome she'd imagined, but Hazel was too exhausted to care. They drove for what seemed like hours, bypassing downtown Los Angeles entirely, heading into industrial districts she didn't recognize from her research. Is this where the agency is located? She asked, watching warehouses slide by. The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Just processing. You'll be at your accommodation soon. They pulled into an underground garage beneath a modern glass building. Another silent employee met her, handed her a plastic key card, and led her to an elevator that required a fingerprint scan. All part of our security protocols, the woman explained. Your luggage will be brought up shortly. The elevator opened directly into a spacious studio apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a stunning view of the city skyline. Minimalist furniture, a fully stocked kitchen, even fresh flowers on the coffee table. This is all mine, Hazel gasped. The Elite Spotlight experience begins with comfort, the woman said mechanically. The director will meet with you tomorrow. Until then, rest. There's a welcome package on the table with everything you need. Before Hazel could ask any more questions, the woman had disappeared back into the elevator. Alone, she explored the apartment. Expensive toiletries in the bathroom, designer clothes in her size hanging in the closet. It was everything she'd imagined success would feel like. She fell asleep that night drunk on possibility. Hazel awoke to darkness. Disoriented, she reached for her phone on the nightstand but found nothing. The bed felt different, harder, narrower. The air smelled antiseptic. Hello, she called out. Her voice echoed strangely. Lights blazed on suddenly, blindingly bright. Hazel shielded her eyes, heart pounding. As her vision adjusted, her stomach dropped. This wasn't the apartment from last night. The room was smaller, maybe 15 by 15 feet. White walls, white floor, white ceiling. A twin bed with white sheets, a small kitchenette. A bathroom with no door, and in every corner, unmistakable black dumb security cameras. What the fuck? She whispered, wrapping the sheet around herself. Her clothes were gone, replaced by a simple white tank top and shorts she didn't recognize. A large screen on the wall suddenly flickered to life. Text began to scroll across it. Angel Fan 247. She's up, Beauty Queen 99. Good morning, new girl. I'm watching you. Do a spin for us. Model Scout, welcome to your new home, honey. Hazel stared in horror. The comments continued to stream, hundreds of them, as if she were on a live stream. But that was impossible. She hadn't agreed to this. Is this some kind of joke? She shouted at the cameras. Where am I? A sharp pain in her right ear made her wince. She reached up and felt something metallic attached to her earlobe. Not an earring she recognized, and it seemed somehow fused to her skin. When she tried to remove it, searing pain shot through her head. Welcome to Elite Spotlight, Hazel. A smooth, computerized voice emanated from the device. Congratulations on your first day. Who are you? What is this place? Panic rose in her throat. I am your host. I'll be guiding you through your contract obligations. The viewers are waiting for your first performance. The viewers? What viewers? I signed up to be a model, not whatever this is. The screen continued to fill with comments. TrueFan76. Is she going to cry already? Boring. Stream Queen. Do the morning challenge. Vapey member. I paid good money for this stream. Make her dance. Your contract clearly outlines your obligations. The host continued. Section 17, paragraph 3. Talent agrees to provide continuous content creation as directed by Elite Spotlight, including but not limited to live streaming, challenges, and interactive viewer experiences. Hazel's mind raced back to the contract she'd skimmed. She'd been so excited, so desperate to escape her old life that she'd barely read the fine print. This isn't legal, she said, her voice shaking. You can't keep me here. Section 23, paragraph 9. The host recited. Talent cedes all rights to personal autonomy for the duration of the contract period. You signed it, Hazel. Fingerprint and retinal verification. Legally binding. As she ran to what looked like a door, a seam in the wall, and pushed. Nothing happened. She pounded her fists against it. Let me out. Someone help me. The lights flickered ominously, and the room plunged into darkness. The voice in her ear dropped to a sinister whisper. Keep them entertained, or else. When the lights came back on, Hazel stood trembling in the center of the room. The comments were scrolling faster now. Dark viewer. Love when they realize Elite VP. Do the dance challenge or you get nothing to eat today. Master Watcher. First day is always the best. Your first challenge is simple, the host announced. Introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them why you're here. Be enthusiastic. And if I refuse? The lights flickered again. The contract duration is 1 month. Successfully complete the challenges, maintain satisfactory viewer ratings, and you'll be released with your signing bonus and a recommendation letter. Fail a challenge and the timer resets. The choice is yours. Hazel looked at the cameras, the endless stream of comments, the seamless walls with no escape. She'd quit her job, emptied her apartment, told everyone she was starting her modeling career. No one would look for her. With shaking hands, she wiped her tears and faced the main camera. Hi everyone, she managed. I'm Hazel Miller and I'm here to entertain you. The screen erupted with messages of approval. A small drawer opened in the wall, revealing a protein bar and a bottle of water. Excellent performance, the host said. Your next challenge begins in 1 hour. Rest well. But as the hours passed, the challenges grew more demanding. Dance routines that left her gasping for breath. Personal questions that dug into childhood traumas and past relationships. Eating contests with foods that made her stomach churn. Each time she completed a challenge, a small reward. Food, a warm shower, 15 minutes with the lights dimmed. Each time she hesitated, the lights would flicker warningly. The host never raised its voice, never explicitly threatened, but the message was clear: perform or suffer. By nightfall, Hazel was exhausted. The screen finally went dark except for a timer. 600, counting down to morning. She curled up on the bed, mind racing through escape scenarios. There were no windows, no visible vents large enough to crawl through. The cameras tracked her every move. The device in her ear seemed impossible to remove without serious injury. As she drifted into an uneasy sleep, the host whispered one final message as day 1 complete. 29 days remaining if you behave. If in the darkness, the red lights of the cameras blinked steadily, never sleeping, never blinking. Somewhere beyond those walls, unknown viewers watched her breathe, waiting hungrily for morning. They owned her now. Days blurred together in Hazel's white prison. The timer on the wall became her only measure of time, counting down the hours and minutes until she would supposedly be free. 7 days down, 23 to go. The camera dumbs tracked her every movement with mechanical precision. Even in the bathroom, even while she slept, the red recording lights never blinked off. Privacy had become a distant memory. Good morning, Hazel. Day 8 begins now. The host's voice had become a constant companion. Sometimes pleasant, sometimes threatening, but always there. Hazel had learned the subtle variations in its synthesized tones. The slight pitch drop when viewer numbers declined. The artificial enthusiasm when donations poured in. The screen on the wall displayed today's schedule: 8 a.m. Morning fitness challenge 10 a.m. Isolation period is 6 hours, 4 p.m. Memory retrieval exercise 7 p.m. Dinner challenge 9 p.m. Viewer's choice. Hazel's stomach tightened at isolation period. Last time, she'd been forbidden from speaking for 24 hours. Each accidental word had resulted in a piercing noise through her earpiece that left her ears ringing for hours after. Viewer numbers are down 12% from yesterday, the host informed her. Your performance needs improvement. The comment feed scrolled faster. Feed the beast. Make her work for breakfast today, Ice Queen. Another ice bath challenge. Diamond member. 1,000 tokens says she breaks during isolation again. VIP watcher. Too boring lately. Need something, Nebu, please, Hazel whispered, her voice hoarse. I've done everything you've asked. Your metrics indicate decreased enthusiasm, the host replied. Remember Section 29 Tree Talent must maintain engagement levels satisfactory to Elite Spotlight and its viewership. Your contract stipulates penalties for underperformance. The morning fitness challenge was brutal, jumping jacks, push-ups, squats, all while reciting personal secrets the algorithm had determined would interest viewers. By the end, Hazel collapsed on the floor, lungs burning, as the viewers critiqued her form, her stamina, her body. Isolation period begins now, the host announced when the clock hit 10. Today's parameter standing position only, eyes must remain open, no physical contact with walls or furniture. Up for 6 hours. Hazel's voice cracked. That's impossible. Parameters amended due to viewer feedback. 7 hours. Timer begins now. The first hour was manageable. Hazel stood in the center of the room, arms at her sides, focusing on a tiny imperfection in the white wall. The second hour brought pain. Dull at first, then sharp, shooting through her lower back and knees. By hour 3 she was swaying, her body screaming for relief. We watch you. Her legs are shaking. Lol, need more pain. Boring. Make her stand on one leg. Rich Donner 2985. 5,000 tokens to add an hour. Challenge amended, the host announced. Stand on your left leg only. Duration extended to 8 hours. Failure will result in timer reset. A sob escaped Hazel's throat. I can't, please. Remember your contract, Hazel. The lights flickered ominously. She lifted her right foot off the ground, tears streaming down her face. Her left leg trembled violently under her weight. Minutes passed like hours. She lost balance after 20 minutes, her foot touching the ground for just a second before she corrected. The fraction noted, the host said. 2 additional hours added to isolation period, and 10 hours. Standing on one leg, the mathematical impossibility of it crashed over her. Even if she somehow managed it, what would tomorrow bring? What new tortures would the faceless audience demand? I want to quit, she whispered. I quit. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, the host's voice changed, deeper, distorted. There is no quitting, only failure means reset. Day 1 again. 29 more days. Is that what you want, Hazel? But before she could answer, a section of the wall slid open. Light flooded in from a corridor she hadn't known existed. A figure was shoved inside, and the wall sealed seamlessly behind them. The lights came back on. A young man about her age stood blinking in the center of the room. Dark hair, gaunt face, wearing the same white clothes as her. What is this? Hazel asked, still balanced precariously on one leg. Introducing Milo, the host announced with simulated cheerfulness. Our newest talent. Due to exceptional viewer demand, today's isolation challenge is amended. You may sit, Hazel. Her leg gave out immediately. She crumpled to the floor, muscles spasming in relief. The man, Milo, looked around wildly, taking in the cameras, the screen of scrolling comments. Hazel's tear-streaked face. Where am I? What is this place? Welcome Elite Spotlight, Milo, the host said. Hazel will explain the rules while you settle in. But the comment feed exploded with excitement. New blood. Fresh me. Competition time 11. Will she help him or sabotage him? Diamond VIP, 10,000 tokens says they hook up by day 3. Stream Queen. 2 for the price of 1. Worth every penny. I don't understand. Milo said, backing away from Hazel. I was supposed to start a photography internship. They picked me up from the airport, took me to an apartment. They lied. Hazel said weakly from the floor. While both signed something. Something that gave them rights to us. No, that's not possible. I read the contract. It was standard stuff. Did you read every pay clause? Every footnote? The color drained from his face. Let me explain, Hazel said, her voice hollow. You're on a live stream. They'll give you challenges. If you refuse, they hurt you. If you fail, your time resets. You have to last a month. This is insane, Milo whispered. This is illegal. They can't. Your first challenge begins now, Milo, the host interrupted. Introduction video. 3 minutes. Tell the viewers why they should be excited to watch you. Enthusiasm is mandatory. Milo looked at the cameras with defiance. I'm not doing anything until someone explains. The ear-splitting shriek that burst from his earpiece made him double over in pain. Hazel flinched, remembering the sensation all too well. Compliance is not optional, the host said pleasantly. Milo straightened, hands shaking, and looked at the main camera. I'm Milo Chen, I'm 24. I was supposed to be a photographer. His voice strengthened with anger. And when I get out of here, I'm going to make sure every one of you sick fucks watching this goes to prison. Unacceptable content, the host said. The lights dimmed again. Hazel explained the consequences to Milo as she looked at him with hollow eyes. Just do what they say, please. If you don't, we both suffer. Bah, both, Milo asked. New protocol initiated, the host announced. Paired performance metrics. Failure by one contestant affects both contestants equally. Success is now code-dependent. Hazel's heart sank. Any fragile alliance they might have formed had just been crushed by the system's design. If he failed, her timer would reset too. If she failed, say try again, Milo, she pleaded. Just pretend, like we all do. The second attempt was better. Milo manufactured a smile, told jokes, spoke about his passion for photography. The viewers seemed satisfied, at least for now. A drawer opened in the wall. 1 meal, 1 bottle of water. Dinner challenge, the host announced. 1 portion provided. Division at contestants at discretion. Hazel understood immediately. They would be pitted against each other at every turn. She looked at the meager portion of food, some kind of protein mush and vegetables, laid at Milo's face. They were both starving. We'll split it, she said, more confidently than she felt. The days that followed established a grim routine. Challenges designed to exhaust them physically. Endurance tests, stress positions, sleep deprivation. Psychological torments engineered to break down any solidarity between them. Forced competitions, uneven rewards, shifting rules. Some nights they collapsed side by side on the single bed, too exhausted to care about personal space. Other nights, when rewards were distributed unequally, they eyed each other with suspicion from opposite corners of the room. On day 12, the host introduced a new challenge. Personal secret extraction, it announced. Each contestant will reveal the most shameful moment of their life. The audience will vote on which story is more engaging. The winner receives dinner. The loser receives nothing. Hazel went first, sharing a story about stealing money from her dying grandmother. A secret she'd never told anyone. Milo followed with a tearful confession about accidentally killing his neighbor's dog as a teenager and lying about it. The viewers voted. Milo's story won by a narrow margin. Congratulations, Milo, the host said. Dinner will be provided shortly. When the food arrived, he looked at Hazel's hollow face and pushed half toward her. No, she said, although her stomach cramped painfully. You won. You eat. I'm not playing their game, he whispered, glancing nervously at the cameras. You have to, she hissed back. We both do. But that doesn't mean we can't help each other. She pushed the food back to him. Eat. You'll need your strength for whatever comes next. At that night, as the room's lights dimmed to their nighttime setting, they whispered together in the corner where the cameras had the poorest angle. There has to be a way out, Milo said. No system is perfect. I've looked, Hazel replied. No windows, no vents big enough to crawl through. The door only opens from outside. What about the earpieces? If we could remove them, they're fused somehow. I tried pulling mine the first night, felt like my eardrum would rupture. Then we need to break the cameras, Milo suggested. Cut off their view. The punishment would be severe. Hazel shuddered at the thought. What's worse than this? Milo's eyes gleamed in the dim light. We need to fight back. The host's voice suddenly came through both their earpieces. Conspiracy detected. Separation protocol initiated. A gas hissed from vents in the ceiling. Hazel scrambled away, pulling Milo with her. But within seconds her limbs grew heavy. Darkness crowded the edges of her vision. She woke up alone. The room had been divided by a transparent wall. Milo was on the other side, still unconscious. Her half had the bathroom. His half had the kitchen. Neither had enough space to lie down fully. Partition challenge begins now, the host announced. Duration 48 hours. Communication between partitions will result in penalties. The comment feed scrolled gleefully. Separation anxiety. Look at her face, priceless. VIP member. Knew they'd try to ribble. Always do. Rich Gamer 78. 5,000 tokens, says one of them breaks in the first 12 hours. Feed the beast. Make them compete for air next. For 2 days, they existed inches apart yet unable to communicate. Basic necessities were provided separately. Hazel had to beg for water by performing increasingly degrading acts for the viewers. Milo, without bathroom access, was forced to use a small bucket in full view of the cameras. The partition was removed on the morning of day 15. They fell into each other's arms, both sobbing with relief. No more rebellion, Hazel whispered. We play along. We survive the month. Milo nodded against her shoulder, but his eyes had changed. Something had hardened in him during those isolated 2 days. That night, Hazel awoke to find Milo standing over her bed, staring down at her with unnaturally still posture. His eyes were wide, unblinking. Milo, she whispered. He didn't respond, just stood there, rigid, watching her. The earpiece in her ear crackled softly. The host's voice, barely audible. He knows survival means you have to lose. Ice flooded Hazel's veins. She lay perfectly still until Milo finally turned and walked woodenly back to his corner of the room. The next morning, neither mentioned the incident, but a new warness had emerged between them. Hazel caught him studying the cameras when he thought she wasn't looking. During joint challenges, his cooperation seemed forced, calculated. Had they gotten to him somehow? Promised him something? Or was it simple survival instinct kicking in? The realization that in this game, there might not be room for two winners. Physical endurance challenge. The host announced on day 16. Ice bath immersion. Contestants will take turns submerging in ice water. Last one to remain submerged wins a special reward. A section of the floor slid away, revealing a tub filled with water and ice chunks. Hazel went first, gasping as the cold engulfed her. She lasted 3 minutes before her body gave out, convulsing uncontrollably as she crawled from the tub. Milo went next. Then Hazel again. 2 minutes this time, her weakened body unable to withstand the shock. Back and forth they went, each round becoming shorter as hypothermia set in. Finally, Milo won a round by just 10 seconds. "Congratulations," the host said. "Your reward, a private message." Hazel watched as Milo's earpiece activated. Whatever message he received, it drained the remaining color from his face. He looked at her with something between pity and resolve. "What did they tell you?" she asked when the host announced the end of the day's challenges. "Nothing," he said too quickly. "Just instructions for tomorrow." That night, Hazel found a small sharp object hidden under her pillow. A broken piece of plastic from their dinner tray, worked into a crude but effective shiv. She had no memory of putting it there. Had Milo placed it? Was it a trap? As she drifted into uneasy sleep, the viewer comments continued to scroll in game near. "Getting good now, real fan. She has no idea what's coming, Diamond VP. Worth every penny to see what happens next." The game had entered a new phase, and Hazel sensed that surviving the next week would require more than simply enduring physical pain. The real challenge would be determining if Milo was still her ally, or if he had become just another weapon in their captor's arsenal. To day 21. Just 9 days left if they could manage to follow the rules, complete the challenges, maintain their sanity. The White Room had become Hazel's entire universe. She could no longer clearly remember what the outside world felt like. Sunshine, fresh air, the simple pleasure of privacy. Those concepts had become abstract, like trying to recall a dream upon waking. The makeshift shiv remained hidden inside a small tear she'd made in her mattress. Hazel still didn't know if it was a trap, a test, or a genuine means of defense. Regardless, it represented the only thing in this prison that wasn't provided and monitored by their captors. "Good morning, contestants," the host announced. "Final week challenges begin today." Hazel looked over at Milo. His face had grown gaunt, dark circles rimming his eyes. Whatever they had told him in that private message had changed him. He rarely spoke now except when required for challenges. At night, she often caught him whispering to himself, or staring vacantly at the cameras. The screen displayed the day's agenda: 8 a.m. Endurance test, ice bath immersion, extended duration, 12 p.m. psychological assessment, 3 p.m. resource competition, night vision challenge. "Please," Hazel said, her voice cracking. "We've done everything you wanted. Can't we just have 1 day of rest?" Ratings have increased 37% since the introduction of dual contestant format, the host replied. "Final week programming is designed to maximize viewer engagement." The comment feed was already active. "Diamond VIP. We won't be LO'd this week, Stream Master. Been saving my tokens for the final hardcore viewer. Make them fight for real this time, watching always." Would she finally break today? The ice bath challenge was excruciating. The water was so cold it burned, numbing her extremities until she could no longer feel her limbs. 3 minutes. 5. 7. Her lungs screamed for air as she forced herself to stay submerged. 16 minutes combined total, the host announced when they'd finally completed the challenge. New record established. Hazel lay on the floor, shivering violently, unable to stop her teeth from chattering. Milo wasn't much better, his lips blue, his movements sluggish. But there was no recovery time, no chance to fully warm up before the next challenge began. Psychological assessment commencing, the host announced precisely at noon. Today's format: truth extraction under duress. A new device emerged from the wall, a small machine with 2 electrodes. "Attach electrodes to your temples," the host instructed. "You will be asked a series of questions. Lies will be detected and punished automatically." Hazel's hands trembled as she placed the cold metal against her skin. Milo did the same, his eyes downcast. First question, the host began. Hazel, do you believe Milo would sacrifice you to secure his own freedom? She looked at Milo, who still wouldn't meet her gaze. I don't know. A sharp electrical current surged through her head. Not enough to cause serious damage, but enough to make her vision white out momentarily. Lee detected, the host said. Truth required. Yes, she gasped. Yes, I think he would. Milo, would you sacrifice Hazel to secure your own freedom? He finally looked up, his expression unreadable. No, the shock hit him harder than it hit her. He cried out, body convulsing briefly. Lee detected, the host announced. Truth required, fine. Milo spat once he could speak again. Yes. Yes, I would, because they told me only one of us gets out anyway. I settled in Hazel's stomach. What? Second question. The host continued, ignoring her reaction. Hazel, have you been planning an escape attempt? The questions continued for hours, each more invasive and destructive than the last. By the end, every frail trust between them had been systematically dismantled. Every secret fear and suspicion dragged into the light. Rasar's competition begins now, the host announced. 1 meal provided, 1 blanket provided. Duration until morning. Distribution at contestants' discretion. A single tray of food, more substantial than their usual meals, appeared in the wall compartment along with 1 thick blanket. Outside the windows that had been revealed for this challenge, a storm raged. The temperature in the room dropped steadily. Take the food, Milo said, his voice flat. I'll take the blanket. The Hazel stared at him. We could share both. Like we've been doing. What's the point? His eyes were hollow. You heard what I said. They told me on day 16, only one of us leaves. The other becomes the new host for the next contestant. Horror washed over her. That can't be true. They promised we'd be free after a month. They lied. They've been lying from the start. He grabbed the blanket and retreated to the corner. Hazel took the food tray, her thoughts racing. A host for the next contestant? What did that even mean? As she ate mechanically, her eyes scanned the walls more carefully than before. Near the floor, partially hidden by the bed, something caught her attention. Scratch marks. Dozens of them arranged in groups of 5. Tallies. Someone had been keeping count. She pushed the bed slightly, revealing more marks. And something else. Letters scratched faintly into the seamless white surface. You'll never be free. The food turned to ash in her mouth. How many others had been here before them? How many had believed they were just days away from freedom? Night vision challenge commencing, the host announced. Lights will be disabled for 12 hours. Random auditory stimuli will be deployed. Contestants must maintain designated positions. The lights went out, plunging the room into absolute darkness. Hazel was instructed to stand in the center of the room. Milo was positioned by the wall. In the darkness, sounds began to play. Whispers, screams, scratching noises that seemed to come from inside the walls. Hazel stood rigid, straining her eyes against the blackness. She could hear Milo's breathing somewhere to her right. I found Tallies, she whispered, hoping the noise would mask her voice. Someone was here before us, maybe many people, boss, I know, Milo whispered back. They showed me recordings, previous contestants. There was one who lasted 3 months before. Before what? Before she became like them. Before she lost herself. A piercing shriek cut through the room, causing Hazel to flinch. Unauthorized communication detected, the host announced. Penalty pending. Hazel's hand moved to her mattress, feeling for the tier where she'd hidden the shiv. If they were never going to be free, what did she have to lose? I'm going to try something, she whispered, barely audible. Don't. Milo pleaded. It's hopeless. The night stretched endlessly, standing in darkness, unable to move, bombarded by disorienting sounds. By morning, Hazel's plan had crystallized. Not an escape. She now understood that might be impossible, but a rebellion. A way to deny them their entertainment. When the lights finally came on, she was ready. Challenge complete, the host announced. Final week continues. Day 22 begins now. Hazel moved with unexpected speed. She lunged for the nearest camera dome, shiv in hand, and smashed it with all her strength. The plastic cracked. She moved to the next one, ignoring the host's warnings blaring in her ear. Violation detected. Immediate consequences authorized. The pain that shot through her earpiece was beyond anything she'd experienced before. She screamed, dropping to her knees, but forced herself back up. Another camera. Another. The pain intensified until she could barely see. Milo, she gasped. Help me. But Milo stood motionless, watching her with dead eyes. Contestant intervention required, the host said, and Milo moved forward mechanically, grabbing Hazel's arms and pinning them behind her. "What are you doing?" she cried, struggling against his grip. "Survival means you have to lose," he said tonelessly. "That's what they told me. That's how the game works." The wall panel slid open. Two figures in white hazmat suits entered, carrying restraints. Hazel fought wildly, but weakened by weeks of punishment and deprivation, she was quickly subdued. "Escape attempt detected," the host announced calmly. Repercussions commencing. They took her away down a sterile white corridor lined with doors identical to the one that had imprisoned her. Behind one, she thought she heard sobbing. Behind another, manic laughter. When she was returned to the room hours later, Milo was gone. "Where is he?" she demanded, her voice hoarse from screaming. "Contestant Milo has been reassigned," the host replied. "Replacement arriving shortly." The wall opened again. A young woman was pushed inside, disoriented and frightened, wearing the same white clothes Hazel had been given on her first day. "Welcome to Elite Spotlight," the host said pleasantly. "Hazel will explain the rules while you settle in." On the screen, a new message appeared: month reset day 1, 29 more days. Hazel looked at the terrified new arrival, understanding flooding through her with icy clarity. This was the true prison. Not the room, but the cycle. An endless parade of new victims, each believing freedom was just weeks away. The comment feed scrolled excitedly: Stream Master. New season. Love these reboots. Diamond VIP. Old and new contestant combo is my favorite, watching always. Will she break the new girl in or break with her? Your first task, Hazel, the host said, is to welcome your new companion. She looked up at the nearest camera, hollow-eyed but smiling, the empty smile she had perfected over 3 weeks of captivity. The earpiece whispered to her alone, "Perform well, and perhaps next time you'll be the one who leaves." She didn't believe it anymore, but she went through the motions, approaching the trembling newcomer with practiced warmth. "Welcome," she said, her voice eerily similar to the host's pleasant tone. "Let me explain how things work here." Behind her practiced smile, her mind was already searching for new ways to fight, new ways to break the system. But as the screen lit up with the day's challenges, a small part of her wondered if resistance was still possible, or if she had already become exactly what they wanted, another cog in the Livestream prison.